Today I will be learning about cross multiplying so I can double check comparing fractions, and I'll know I have it when my work matches my check. So this one, just like with addition, we do subtraction. This is a good way to check that you've done your comparing fractions, but this isn't the only way. This doesn't use your math brain as much, but this is a good way to check. So normally when we're comparing fractions, we have this whole process. We have that we found the like denominators, then we've converted the fractions, and then we look at them. And that is helping us understand what equivalent fractions look like and what like denominators look like. But occasionally, we want to make sure that we can just double check real quickly to make sure that we are happy. So we have 1/3 and 2/5. Now, we're going to do a process here called cross multiplying. What cross multiplying does is you take the denominator and the numerator from each fraction and you multiply. So 3 times 6, or 3 times 2 is 6, and 5 times 1 is 5. Now you'll notice that the number that we multiply is actually the same as the numerator in our like denominator equivalent fractions that we made. And that works because what this is doing is it's basically simplifying this whole process down here, but it's still important to do this process because this helps us really understand equivalent denominators and equivalent fractions. Then from there, all we have to do is we can just still see that it is like so, and it's still correct, so this is a good double check way to do it when we're comparing fractions. So on this next one, I've given you 3/4 and 5/6. I want you to do both the full work and also the check. So pause the video and then unpause it when you're done. Alright, so we've got 4 and 6. We need to find our like denominators. So 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. This is 6, 12, and I can stop right there. So, next I will do 3/4 times a fraction equals something over 12. 4 times 3 will give me 12, making this 3 over 3 to represent one whole, and 9/12. And then 5/6 times a fraction equals something over 12. 6 times 2 will give me 12. 2 over 2 gives me one whole. So 5 times 2 is 10. Now I have 10/12. So that's going to, obviously 10 is larger than 9. Now to double check my work, I am going to cross multiply. So I do 5 times 4, and that gives me 20. And I'll do 3 times 6, and that will give me 18. Now that is, my comparison is still true, but you notice that my number here doesn't match my numerator. Now why is that? The reason it's like that is because 12 is my least common multiple, but they also have a 24 in common. If I extend these out a couple more, they also have a 24 in common. The reason is if you do 6 times 4, that gives you 24, which is a common multiple, but it's not my least common multiple. So that's why it's important to do least common multiple and do the whole process. Again, like I said, this is a good way to double check, but you need to make sure you're making equivalent fractions. And this will bring us to a bring back to school problem. I've left you a little note here to make sure you do it both ways, the standard way to compare fractions and also the double check. So I'll be looking for both of those when you're comparing 3/8 to 4/10. Have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you in the morning.